Hello, and welcome back to the Lazy Money Game. In today's episode, I will give an update to what I have done with my portfolio throughout the week, and at the same time, I would like to highlight some news which I think is really relevant and what I think we potentially can learn from the history. At the end, I will walk you through some questions I have received from the audience, just to try and help out and see if we can make it a little easier for people to follow the strategy. So let's look at what I have done with my portfolio within the last week. I have highlighted the 6 new companies which I have added to my portfolio. So that's Carnival Corporation, Delta Airlines, General Dynamics Corporation, LTC Properties, Synchronic Financial, and Walt Disney. I don't want to go into too much details about the companies. Maybe I will do that in a future episode, but for now I simply just wanted to let you know that I have added these 6 new companies, and then I have added more into my position of Simon Property. I have added $1,000 more to that. So my total investment in this week is $11,500. So that's why my portfolio is actually increasing in value even though the market is down. And while we are talking about being down, currently my portfolio is down almost 5%, meaning that I have lost more than $2,000 if I were to realize my portfolio. And I think this is a really important message to send, saying you need to be invested in this for the long term, because there will be short-term volatility. You will never be able to hit or invest when the market is at its lowest, especially not for all your companies. You might get 1 or 2 correct when it's at the absolute bottom, but overall you just have to face the fact that volatility in the short term will put your portfolio down. So the obvious question to ask at this point of time is there a good reason for why all my stocks are down? I mean, it's not just real estate or healthcare or financial service or consumer cyclical. It's in general, all my holdings are down. So is there something which has added extra volatility to the market that makes all investors scared and in general are getting them out of their positions and making the market fall even more? And of course, there's such a news out there. If you have seen anything within the past 2 weeks, then you have heard the word coronavirus. So if you go into the World Health Organization webpage and take a look at their situation reports, you can actually see the first report from January 21st and all the way up to 1st of February when I'm recording this video. So if we take a look at the first report, we see that there were 282 confirmed cases and they were distributed like this, so mainly in China. If we then go and take the latest report, now we can see that we have almost 12,000 confirmed cases and that it has spread it widely. That have made WHO to declare a public health emergency of international concern. So why do I put such a big emphasis of this declaration from World Health Organization? Is of course the obvious question one needs to answer. The good answer is of course to look into the history and see what has happened to the stock market the last couple of times when we have had outbreaks where WHO have declared similar statements to what they have declared with the coronavirus. So if we go back to 2003, where we have the SARS, there we saw that the stock market was for that period of time at an all-time low when this declaration came out, meaning that the stock market has dropped significantly leading up to the event where this declaration was out. The next good example was in 2009, where we had the swine flu. There we also saw a significant drop in the stock market before this declaration, and then the market immediately started to increase in value after this declaration. The most recent example is from 2016, where we had the Zika virus, where it was sort of similar. Of course, the SARS in 2003 was the most obvious, where we have the biggest difference. But in general, it seems like there is a trend here. Whenever there is risk in the market, where no one exactly knows what is going to happen, that tends to decrease the value of the stock. But as soon as a declaration like this has come out in the past, we will actually see that the stock market has increased in value. Hence, I would consider it a good opportunity, at least from an historical point of view, that the market will start to increase again. That's of course no guarantee, but simply just keep an open mind for this to be a possibility. So since I'm a huge fan of Warren Buffett, I would like to give his quote on this: be greedy when others are fearful, because that is actually where there's a big potential to make a lot of money. To answer the first question that I have received, do you intend to invest more in the coming week? Well, if we look to the arguments that I have just presented about the historical performance on the stock market and how it can be potentially linked to the diseases, and see what has happened when an announcement from the World Health Organization has been out, then it sure looks as a good time to buy. I mean, take a look at any of the positions that I have. Yeah, they are on sale, and the market was up for a correction. So I think it's most likely that I will buy some stocks in the coming week. Maybe I will look into new companies, maybe I will simply just buy more of what I already hold. The next question I received was if I could arrange the companies in alphabetic order in order for it to be more user-friendly for you to follow and see which companies I actually have a position in. This has of course changed the color in the portfolio overview down here, and it has changed even more since I have added 6 new companies and added a position in one of the current companies I already hold as well. I have received a question if I could explain a little bit more about the different dividend dates, which is visible here on the Seeking Alpha web page. So if we start by looking at the declared date, this is where the company declares or announces its dividend. You can see the amount to the left here. Then you have in bold the ex-dividend day. This is the most important date when it comes to your dividends, since you need to own the stock before this day in order to be entitled to the dividend. Next, you have the record date, which is where the company is investigating who was actually owning the stock at the ex-dividend date. And finally, you have the payout date, which is where you will actually get paid your dividend. If you're using a foreign broker, however, it usually takes 1 or 2 days after the payout date before you will be able to see the amount on your account. And finally, you have the dividend frequency, so this company is paying its dividends quarterly. And as a bonus, if you want to investigate your entire portfolio and see when you will actually get paid your dividends for the different companies that you hold, you can see in my portfolio I have added a lot of different stocks. Then you go to my portfolio, stocks I'm watching, then you go to data, and then you can sort by ex-dividend date and see when will the next dividend be paid on the companies that you own. So for instance, if I had Realty Income Corp in my portfolio, I would have to hold it on this particular date in order to be entitled to the dividend. The next is Wells Fargo, which you can see from my spreadsheet that I'm holding. So if I own the stock 6 days from now, I will actually be entitled to the dividend that they pay. I have also received a question about how to limit the number of emails that I'm receiving, because currently my email inbox is completely full. So what I would recommend is that you set up a separate email account just for your investments. And then in order to limit the amount of emails that you're actually receiving, then you go to My Portfolio, Manage Email Summary, Stock Email Alerts, Show Advanced, And in order to only receive email alerts regarding the dividends, you need the news tab as the only one selected. So you can see if I click analysis, then I will receive more emails. And over here in alert type, there's a brief description about what you would actually receive if you select the different options. And here you can see how many emails that you would actually receive on an average, and that starts to add up when you're building your portfolio, because the more stocks you add, the more emails that you receive. So it was simply my portfolio, manage email summary, stock email alerts, show advanced, and news. So to sum up, this was a portfolio overview of what I have done this week and what we potentially can learn from the past. And my apologies for not doing it more visually this time, but when I did my research, I was not able to find a graph with the diseases which were not copyright protected. But if you go on Google, you can easily find that. So the only thing left to say is simply it will be exciting to see in the next week if the market will actually start to increase, so we are following the historical patterns. That was it for now. Please remember to like and subscribe the videos so I can keep producing more content in the future. Bye!